Had a pretty light agenda for tonight. As you, will, please look at the minutes from the, I believe it was the 17th of June meeting. Go through those minutes, see if we're, they should be behind your, in your packet behind the purchasing report.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as written. Do I hear a second? I have a second from Mr. Ford. Any discussion on the minutes as written? If not, all those in favor of the motion of adopting these as permanent part of our minutes, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are a permanent part of our minutes. Your next agenda item for tonight, we have the our trustees' cash balance for June and the financial summaries. Notice one thing for sure on the financial summaries, it is not final. Okay, I know June is the last month of the fiscal year, but it is not final. If you will, take a few minutes to go through the trustees' trial balance sheet. Any discussions inside the trial balance sheets? I might make mention one time here again, the second portion there that we're looking at. Remember, those are not fund balances. Like, for example, the American Rescue Squad, I said American Rescue Squad, the American Rescue Fund, sorry. Looks to be sitting at over $1 million. That is not a true number. That is what's sitting there, but there are still monies, just like the nearly 400,000 that was approved in purchasing a few minutes ago that had been paid for the equipment. Those pieces for the playground, that money is still to be spent. It's allocated, just not spent. So it appears to be there, but it's not a fund balance. Remember that clearly. That fund is sitting just over 500,000 in total for the two. Any discussion or concerns on the trial balance? If not, we'll move from the trial balance on. I would like a motion to accept the trial balance as we've received.
Make a motion to accept trial balance.
Have a motion to accept the trial balance as written. And a second, Ms. Overman. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you for that favorable acceptance of. You see your comparisons for June to June. Great to see that most all of our accounts expenses were below percentage-wise expenditure from last year. So always a nice piece to have. The 151 being the exception, but we know that there's a reason for that. The 151, the consolidation, I guess we would call it, of all the loans into one for one fixed interest rate makes that look a little different. Revenues came in strong. Still a bit of revenue to come through would be the sales tax, which is a month behind. So there's still some revenue that would show up. Moving into the 101. Looking at your revenues of 101. There would be 1 month behind, that's correct. Yes, sir, it came in stronger. Yes, sir. Again, you see that total of 89.1% of revenues uh, came in pretty strong. I think last year's was 91, but very close. Any discussion on the revenue side of the 101? Any line items to discuss? If not, moving to expenditures of 101. Any items of discussion 101 in the expenditures? Coming in at 72.6%. Well under a budgeted number there, looks strong.
About 58 already, where is it in balance?
That would be a question I'll have to ask further. The 500, the other economic, I don't know what other states in that one. That's a good question, though. I will make sure that we get that to Miss Amy and get that question addressed. Mr. Ford, I think you've, in your time, certainly probably have noticed this on these pieces, those other categories seem to throw some loops from time to time. They seem to have a lot of little pieces attached to them often. But I will find out from Miss Amy. Any other item? If not, moving into, of course, your next piece of that, if you want to look at the breakdown, which I appreciate that we have, is a large portion of 101 does pull from the sheriff's department. So there's the breakdown of the sheriff's department. When your items are in here, your expenditures are attached to salaries, most of the time you're going to expend most of that salary. All right, moving on to the 111 urban service. You're looking at revenues in the urban service district. And if no discussion in revenues, let's look, coming in at 68.2%, a bit low, a couple of items there that were under, not yet being funded, like the 55,000 of the streetscape, some of those pieces that weren't yet, finished. You have a big portion, which is the 46,490, the multimedia, the multimodal grant, which is hugely affecting that percentage. Expenditure side, always strong, coming in at 57.6%. When you're expending less than your revenue, and that piece is always still strong. 68.2 on the revenues in, 57.6 on the expenditures out. Again, by far, the sheriff's department is the largest draw on the 111 urban service fund. Sheriff and your waste convenience center piece is by far the largest expenditures there. All right, no discussions there. We'll keep moving. Again, you have your sheriff's breakdown. 116 solid waste coming in at 103%. Remember, we budget at 92% for folks that may wonder how we come in above 100% of revenues. Expenditures at 77.8. Fortunately, on solid waste, they are in pretty good shape with the new trucks, new pieces that have been able to be purchased. That should be some of those large expenses should not be an issue going forward for a while. Mr. Slee does a really good job maintaining the equipment, so we get more life than out of that equipment in the way he maintains it, so always helpful. Mr. Ford?
assume that's what the closing care comes from.
Mr. Ford, we have to maintain, test on that landfill going forward. If you'll see, it was budgeted pretty high, but it's at, $5,500. So we have to maintain testing there. I, I want to say that's quarterly, but somebody may can correct me in that being correct, but I want to say it's quarterly. We have to continue to, conduct tests to ensure that we have no issues going forward. It may be, Mr. Slee's not here and I can ask him on that, but I wanted to say it was quarterly, but I know we have to do it a few times along the way yearly, if I'm not mistaken. Any other discussions in 116? I think that one, Mr. Ford just asked of will be there with us for a while.
Yeah. It's gotta be more than 10, 15 years.
I,
And so last year, year before, it spent quite a bit of money.
believe it's been a few years past that, but yes, sir, we did a little over 600,000, I believe is what the bid to close that up was. Your next is your 118 ambulance service. Revenues coming in at 106%, expenditures at 85.9. Your breakdown of your expenditures is on the next page. It would appear the line item that was added last year, the line item 169, has been beneficial in ensuring we have adequate staff and that the overtime numbers don't get so far out of hand.
And 7 is a killer.
Overtime.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. At 95% of the 368,000. It was adjusted at $28,000 and added to it. I want to say that was in March or April. But yes, sir, it is a large portion. I will remind you, though, that that job has an expected amount of overtime in it, in the salary. So, I think I want to say it's 96 hours, one pay period, and 120 the next pay period is what I want to say it is.
Personnel committee, we met on that yet?
I have not seen anything from personnel on that part of. Any discussions on the 118 further? $121 pass-through money, Core Civic, it's the fund that literally is in and out money. County Drug, Sheriff's Department, I won't say it's pass-through money, but it is money that's in from different pieces of fines and things of that nature. It's usually spent well. $127 was an addition. 127, 128 were the additional that the comptroller asked us to add, showing the American Rescue funding. Your 151 debt service, as we discussed earlier, that is one that's going to show expenditures at 99.6%. We're paying our debts is what we're looking at. Our debt is consolidated on a interest rate that is fixed. Any discussion in 151? If not, 171 capital projects. Currently, not a lot of capital projects available. That is and I mind you, please to remember that the dollars spent out of this is this fund is funded through the Core Civic $300,000 yearly that comes in. So that was a negotiated contract set aside for capital projects. No matter who's on this committee, as it continues and things move on, I would hope that this commission spends that money wisely and lets it continue to build. It can be sitting there for a project that will be needed in the future. Mr. Ford?
Spirit architect, some, they know we spend a bunch of money on it.
Well, Mr. Ford, I would say at this point, what we got is we got what we had originally asked for, which was some of the planning for the future of a jail in the way we had asked them to plan it. When you go about planning a project, it requires an architect to tell us what to do. And unfortunately, or fortunately, they get paid pretty well to set up those plans for you and have a meeting or two with you and draw some plans up. So what have we got out of them? Honestly, that is a question that you won't be able to see the product until something is finished. How about it that way? It's about the best way to put it in front of you. You get architectural cost from planning a project. Moving on, unless there's another question there. If not, 141, general purpose schools. We will look at the revenues. Again, revenues are coming in strong at 105.6%. Any questions there? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the each fund, each balance, each account as we've been stated in front of us. Make a motion to approve the balances as we've seen them. Do I hear a second? Have a second from Ms. Overman. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is approved as a favorable piece. As we look forward here, fortunately, as was mentioned earlier in purchasing, there are no budget amendments sitting in front of us, and we just went through some pretty large purchases that were taken care of. So therefore, the budget was set in pretty good place the year prior. And there is no year-end, first of the year cleanups here to add to the first of the year at this moment. So you are in the first month, so you kind of expect it to be a little lighter on that note of things. Are there any discussion items that anyone wishes to bring to the table? Won't disagree with you, sir. A good unusual. Yes, sir. It is. It is very good not to have any amendments already to our budget. Any discussion further? Any public comment? If not, have a motion by Ms. Overman to adjourn. I have a second. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is adjourned. Thank you.